Yo, what's up, Kanye Scope fam? Get ready for a rapid-fire news blast that's gonna blow your mind. First up, Pete Davidson is stepping up to defend Pedro Pascal against online critics, saying he's just too much, too soon. Then, we dive deep into Pete Davidson's own journey, revealing a heartbreaking conversation with his mom that sparked his sobriety. But wait, there's more. We're breaking down why Pete Davidson is exactly right about the Pedro Pascal oversaturation debate. And hold up, the Riyadh Comedy Festival is bringing out some huge names, but at what cost? You do not want to miss this. Smash that like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single second. Pete Davidson stands up for Pedro Pascal amidst fame frenzy. Did you feel like Pedro Pascal was everywhere all at once? You weren't alone, and now Pete Davidson is weighing in. Amidst a whirlwind of projects including the latest season of HBO's The Last of Us and major film releases like Gladiator II and The Fantastic Four. First steps, some fans felt Pascal's presence was overwhelming. Davidson, speaking on the podcast, this past weekend with Theo Von, offered a candid defense, highlighting Pascal's decades of hard work and the immense pressure that comes with sudden, massive fame. Davidson explained that after a long career as a struggling actor, Pascal's meteoric rise has led to a backlash, with audiences quickly turning from adoration to criticism. You've got to give someone time to adjust to that new level of fame, Davidson urged, drawing parallels to how quickly public perception can shift. He emphasized that Pascal, who has been in the industry for 30 years, is still navigating this intense spotlight and deserves a grace period. With upcoming roles in The Mandalorian and Grogu and Avengers, Doomsday, Pascal's visibility is set to continue, making Davidson's point about adjusting to fame more relevant than ever. The internet is buzzing with this defense, with many agreeing that the rapid cycle of building up and tearing down stars is a concerning trend. The conversation highlights the intense scrutiny faced by actors today and the difficulty of managing a sudden surge in popularity. But is this the only major update from Pete Davidson? Stick around, because we're about to reveal a deeply personal story that inspired his sobriety. Pete Davidson's mother's plea inspired sobriety. Pete Davidson is sharing a powerful and emotional story behind his journey to sobriety. In a candid conversation on Theo Von's This Past Weekend podcast, the comedian revealed a specific moment that fundamentally changed his perspective and commitment to staying clean. Davidson recounted a heartbreaking phone call from his mother, Amy Waters Davidson, while he was in rehab. She expressed her deepest fear, seeing news of his death. This profound statement from his most supportive person deeply affected him, leading him to vow to stay alive for her, especially after losing his father on 9/11. "I'd have to be a F-king sociopath to not get my SD together," Davidson shared, emphasizing the weight of his mother's words and his desire to spare her further heartbreak. He also acknowledged the support of friends and family who, after enduring his deranged behavior, finally called his bluff, making him realize the severity of his actions and the love he had for them. Now, as Davidson prepares to welcome his first child with girlfriend Elsie Hewitt, he expressed immense gratitude for achieving sobriety before this major life event. He stated that starting a family wouldn't have been possible without this personal transformation, highlighting how crucial his sobriety is for his future. From personal struggles to public defense, Pete Davidson is certainly making headlines. But is he always right about public perception? We'll break down his take on Pedro Pascal's fame next. Davidson's defense of Pascal hits the mark. Is Pedro Pascal too famous right now? Pete Davidson thinks the backlash is premature, and we're diving into why he's right. In a recent discussion on This Past Weekend with Theo Von, Davidson addressed the growing sentiment that Pedro Pascal has become oversaturated in media. Pascal's recent surge in popularity, fueled by roles in The Last of Us and major upcoming films, has led some to criticize his omnipresence. Davidson argued passionately that this reaction is a classic case of public perception turning too quickly. He pointed out Pascal's 3 decades of hard work and struggle before hitting it big, stating, "You've got to give someone time to adjust to that new level of fame." Davidson believes the public builds stars up only to tear them down just as fast, a cycle he finds frustrating. This perspective resonates with many who feel that performers are often subjected to unfair scrutiny once they achieve significant success. The conversation highlights the delicate balance between celebrating an actor's hard-earned achievements and the public's evolving appetite for new content. But as some stars navigate the spotlight, others are heading to new, and perhaps controversial, stages. Next up, a look at the Riyadh Comedy Festival and the comedians taking the stage. Riyadh Comedy Festival sparks sellout debate. Some of comedy's biggest names are set to perform at the Riyadh Comedy Festival, but the lineup is igniting a firestorm over ethical considerations. The festival, running for 2 weeks, features a roster of well-known comedians including Kevin Hart, Chris Tucker, Russell Peters, Bill Burr, and Pete Davidson, among others. However, the decision for these comedians to perform in Saudi Arabia has drawn sharp criticism due to the country's human rights record. Reports suggest comedians are being offered substantial sums, with one comedian claiming figures upwards of $375,000 for a single show, and higher tiers reportedly earning $1.6 million. This financial incentive has led to a debate about artistic integrity versus financial gain. Comedians like Tim Dillon were reportedly nixed from the lineup for making controversial jokes, highlighting the potential restrictions and the complex moral landscape. Comedians on both sides of the decision, those performing and those declining, have offered various rationalizations, from dismissing all entertainment money as blood money to feeling exhausted by the effort of scrutinizing every moral choice. Comedians like Jim Jeffries and others have defended their participation by downplaying the significance of human rights issues in comparison to the king's ransom offered, drawing parallels to the LIV golf controversy. The situation has been labeled by critics as sellouts, cashing checks, and looking the other way, especially given that many of these comedians have publicly decried cancel culture and the inability to speak freely. The festival's aim appears to be normalization, using high-profile performances to enhance its international image, a strategy mirrored by sporting events hosted in the region. That's a lot to unpack, and we're just getting started. Stay tuned for our lightning round recap and all the ways you can stay connected with the Kanye Scope. All right, fam, let's do a quick rundown. Pete Davidson is defending Pedro Pascal from the too famous backlash. We also heard Pete Davidson's incredibly moving story about how his mom inspired his sobriety. Plus, we broke down why Davidson's take on Pascal's fame is spot on. And finally, the Riyadh Comedy Festival lineup is causing a stir, with major comedians facing questions about their choices. Don't miss any of the breaking news and exclusive deep dives. Hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and make sure to drop a comment below telling us your thoughts on these stories. Follow us on all social platforms for even more Kanye Scope content. We'll catch you on the next one.